House Republican Conference. Welcome back to America's Newsroom. Why
Thanks,
absurd?
Bill. Well, when you look at this administration's statement that they've created about 3 million jobs since the stimulus was passed, kind of reminds me of what Groucho Marx used to say. Who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes? I mean, look, the American people are hurting. Small businesses are hurting in the city and on the farm. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, since the stimulus was passed, we have lost 3 million real jobs, 2.4 million net jobs in this economy, and all the calculations and reports from the White House are not going to change the fact that their economic stimulus bill has failed.
Well, what the Vice President said, in 6 months of this year alone, now 2010 he's talking about, in the private sector, 600,000 jobs have been created. That was the statement he made yesterday, and then he admitted we've still got a long way to go. Do you dispute that number? Because if you do, it seems we're headed in the right direction if that statement's true.
Well, look, it's hard to know. You go to recovery.gov, the official website of the White House, and different than the 3 million jobs created that they were professing yesterday, they post that there were 680,000 jobs created. Look, the reports that were put out yesterday by the administration were not based on counting jobs created in the country. They were based on a mathematical calculation about how many jobs are created per federal dollar spent. But the reality, I got to tell you, across the state of Indiana, across this country, the reality is obvious to millions of Americans. I think you see that in the polls, that the American people know we can't borrow and spend and bail our way back to a growing economy. But this administration is now, producing reports based on mathematical calculations to say that we're headed in the right direction, when the hard facts from the Bureau of Labor Statistics are that we have lost 2.4 million net jobs since their stimulus bill was passed.
This is where this debate is now joined, and we've been in touch with the White House trying to figure out where the jobs are saved or created, what's the breakdown, so we're still working on that. And when we get
Bill,
it, we'll pass it to our viewers.
let me point your viewers to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Treasury Department actually is not in the business of counting jobs. The President's Council on Economic Advisors isn't, the Bureau of Labor Statistics counts jobs created and lost in the economy, and they say that since the stimulus was passed, 3 million jobs lost, 2.4 million net jobs lost. All of which proves the fact that stimulus has failed.
Some of this polling, it backs up your point that we have seen as we take our polling across the country. Go back to Joe Biden. He said, I know what they're against, meaning the Republicans, but I don't know what they're for. What are you for?
Well, I think back in February when the President came to the Republican retreat, we handed him a copy of Republican Solutions. The President admitted on live national television that the Republicans had offered a plan for stimulus, had offered an alternative that would have cost half as much and created twice as many jobs. Republicans, have been calling for across-the-board tax relief for working families, small businesses, and family farms. Marry that with real fiscal discipline here in Washington, D.C. Okay. I like to say around back home, I say, get government under control, get government out of the way, and this economy will come roaring back. The Vice President knows we've got a plan, but we're happy to sit down with him and unveil it one more time.
Okay, Mike Pence, the Republican from Indiana, thank you for your time. To our viewers coming up, we'll hear from the Democratic side, too. New Jersey Congressman Bill Pascrell.